Hello there, interwebs. I'm continuing my series on Elite Dangerous in terms of its design versus what's been implemented over the course of the past 3 years. And basic ship crew functionality. This sounded absolutely amazing compared to what we've seen actually implemented over the course of the past year. The idea being, as you got out of your small single, maybe double-seat fighters and smaller ships into larger ones, saying like a Type 6, maybe a Type 7, or an Asp Explorer, and into larger ships like the Python, and certainly once you get into the Anacondas, cutters, corvettes, things of that nature, belugas, it requires a crew. And I think this would be in particular important on the passenger liners. You know, you would need to hire stewardesses and stewards and things of that nature. And this is what was being proposed over 3 years ago. That crew would either be human or mechanical. Mechanical crew are not sentient. They're basically specialized robots capable of carrying out specific activities. And the idea being that these crew members would basically increase in their capabilities over time, or you could pay crew, better crew more out of the gate. Again, some of these ideas have found their way into the current ship crew functionality for ship-launched fighters, but that's been hit. And one of the things they said here was that crew would have a service contract and basically remuneration, or basically their pay package, and it would be defined as a credit salary, which may be zero-based on circumstance, aka you could get slaves to crew your ship per time period. So this would be, you would pay this person 100,000 credits per hour or per day or per period of time. And I think that this would have worked out a lot better than the current system in which basically your crew receives a percentage of all income earned. And I think this model is what a lot of people would prefer, because some people have found out that their hired NPC crew member has sucked literally hundreds of millions of credits out of their wallet, and simply because they forgot they had even hired crew at one time, which I guess is kind of your own fault, but it does add up over time. And I think that going with a salary-based system would have been a much better decision. And it looks like that was the original plan. I would like to know why they ended up changing that, because it seems like this was a better design 3 years ago. It says the crew can be acquired at docks or through missions and events. Well, currently we can only get crew through docks. Wouldn't it be cool that you have the potential of gaining crew members through missions? And Star Trek Online had a similar system with this with their bridge crew, that certain missions did award you bridge crew officers and packs. And the idea that pay is in advance, so, like whenever you hire a pilot and they're 150,000 credit up front, you would do that with your crew, and then, the pay is, you've already paid them. It's already money out of your pocket. At any time, the crew service can be terminated, and, they keep the money that you've already paid them. Terminated crew would disembark at the next habitable dock. The commander is reimbursed for any time. Oh, the commander would be reimbursed for any time not served. Again, this all sounds really potentially very cool, even if you could extend that to human multi-crew. Mechanical crew that are terminated will become cargo canisters. If no cargo space is available, they will be dismantled. The commander will be warned. Mechanical crew in cargo form do not require maintenance and can be activated, rehired at any time. Wow, that sounds amazing compared to what we got. Failure to maintain or failure to follow the maintenance schedule from a mechanical crew increases the chance of malfunction. I would love to see some of these mechanical crew. This sounds actually pretty freaking amazing. Crew have a type that determines how they may be used. Gunner, rated to operate turreted weaponry. Well, we kind of have that in the multi-crew section. I think a lot of people would like to have seen that with NPC AI. Engineer, rated to repair internal modules. We sort of have the auto field maintenance unit, but again, wouldn't this have been cool to see as not only part of, say, the crew, NPC crew, but also as part of the multi-crew? Because again, they had 4 stations here, only 3 of which we actually ever saw, pilot, rated to pilot vessels, which is the only crew we've actually gotten in the terms of being able to pilot ship-launched fighters, or the ship in the case that you're flying the ship-launched fighter without multi-crew enabled. And a Marine, rated to repel boarders, requires ship internals update. Well, pursuit or space legs. Now, this is kind of interesting because I think this explains why we only have 3 multi-crew slots right now instead of 4, while Wings have 4. I think that 4th position is probably going to be the Marine, but at the same time, I guess we got 2 of the 4. We don't have Engineer or any type of science station, and we don't have Marine because we don't have space legs and ship internals update, which is not a thing as of yet. Each ship has a maximum number of crew slots for each type. When crew slots are filled, the commander has access to a number of benefits based on crew type. Gunner. Turreted weapons are more accurate and can switch targets to make opportune attacks. The more gunners available. Wow, so it sounds like it wouldn't happen that you just happen to have one gunner. You'd have multiple gunners that are AI. That's interesting. The more turret weapons can gain these benefits at the same time. Okay, so if you have 4 turreted weapons, you need 4 turret gunners. That could have been interesting. Maybe they'd be less affected by chaff over the current system. Engineer. Damaged modules will be repaired. The more engineers available, the more modules can be repaired at the same time. I like this idea better than what we got in the auto-field maintenance unit. Pilot. The commander can initiate defensive maneuvers, chase target, and travel to location orders. Interesting. We sort of kind of have that now with both NPCs as well as, well, I guess human crews can't take over command of your ship. Marines will automatically engage ship invaders, require ship internals updates. Obviously not in the game yet. That would require something called space legs, which at this point looks to be years down the road, if ever. How crew ability levels, this determines the effectiveness of their actions. Gunner, the ability determines the accuracy increase. Engineer, ability determines speed of repair. Pilot, ability determines quality of flying. Marine, ability determines combat effectiveness. Wow. This ship crew sounds amazing, and it would sound like you would start to become attached to members of your crew, want to level them up to get them better, to improve these things. I know people say that, yeah, that would be more grind, but this would be elements that would give you more sense of agency within the game. And again, you would level these people up by engaging in activities and playing the game. I don't think that this would be any additional levels of grind. I don't feel that leveling up NPC AI fighter pilots is necessarily a grind. They just level up in the course of you engaging in normal combat activities. Of course, if you're not wanting to engage in combat activities, well, again, NPC crew members to you at this point is probably of limited or no use to you. Whereas here you would have other AI, like an engineer if you're on an exploration ship. Sure sounds handy. And even the pilot, maybe then you could man, the map screen. And the pilot could chase a target and travel to location on orders. Maybe like, I don't know, an autopilot for traveling long distances. I know FDev doesn't really like this idea. I know certain players don't like this idea, but I know more than one explorer out there who probably would like the idea of that. Wingmen. AI wingmen. And they talk about hiring them. It'll be dependent on the wealth of the system. High development, increased chance of higher quality wingmen. High wealth, greater number of wingmen appearing. And then this is an AI wingman can be hired for a limited period to act as ally. Basically act like the current wingman system does, or the wing. Price will be determined by the distance location the player needs escorting to, and the quality of the wingman to offer. There will also be a max duration of the contract calculated from the distance needed. So maybe it is, we will escort you for 40 light years. And once you go more than 40 light years, they say goodbye. Both the destination and the max duration will be stated on the bulletin board before the player commits to a hire. So it may also be they're only available for 2 or 3 hours as another option to that. They will stay with the player until the destination has been reached or the length of time has expired, until they have been forced to, or they've been forced to eject or been killed. Escort Behavior. This sounds like very interesting stuff. Wingmen will retaliate against unprovoked or illegal attacks against themselves and the player. There will always be enough fuel to allow the player's hyperspace FSD jumps. When the player enters a station, they will patrol the nearby space and wait for the player to exit again. A maximum of 2 wingman slots are available per player. So imagine, this is basically what happens with AI wingmen. You know, there's always, well, not always, but usually 2 protecting a mining ship or something like that. AI commands. This has been implemented through the ship-launched fighters. Hold fire, fire at will, wait, follow, in contract, well, terminate that crew when you're at a station. So those have actually been put there. Quality, not all wingmen are created equal. Again, we see a little bit of this with the AI for ship-launched fighters. Faction reputation. Faction reputation will provide a straight sliding scale of quality to the players. The higher it is, the better available wingmen will get. Again, this would give you a reason for wanting to ally yourself with minor factions. Or even maybe superpower factions. Or maybe even power play factions. However factions or whichever factions you want in order to get AI wingmen. This would give you a reason for wanting to ally with them. And actually make that grind mechanic have a purpose to it. That largely, I've never been able to get into the background sim side of things just because, I don't know, there's just that lack of agency that goes along with it. If you gave me the opportunity to build a hangar somewhere and to get better AI wingmen to escort me whenever I'm playing solo, gee, I'd have a reason to want to become invested with a minor faction within the game. And right now, those just don't exist. And then they talk about criminality and wingman reactions. And this goes into quite a bit of complexity. You know, if, various factors like base chance, if there's a high criminality sector, they have a 50% chance of turning on you. Middle criminality, no percent, low criminality, 50%. NPC reputation, a high reputation, minus 30% of betraying you, no reputation. Faction reputation, if they have a high faction reputation, that would decrease it by 20%. Cargo value, this would basically be the size of your ship and the credits on board. The more valuable the cargo you're carrying, the more likelihood they might turn on you. And again, more powerful than the player, then they have more likelihood they would turn on you. If they're similar power, they would be less likely. If you overpower them, they're going to be, or if similar power, they're not going to, not a higher chance. If you're more powerful than they are, well, they're not going to take that chance or be less likely. If you're in anarchy space, there's a 25% chance that they might, or 25% more of a chance that they might hijack you. If you're in the jurisdiction of lawful space station, minus 50% within sensor range of authority, minus 50%. And, this value is then calculated in a betray roll. This value can be recalculated and re-rolled whenever the situation changes. If a betrayal roll succeeds, the contract ends, and the AI will communicate their intent to attack the player, offering him the chance to avoid the fight by either dumping cargo or paying them off. If the player doesn't accept either of these, it doesn't work for a set period of time, or attacks the ships, the former wingman will attack them immediately. Wow. Wow. Imagine having that system into the game for AI wingmen, especially for those of you who want to play in solo private groups. That's kind of exciting. That's an element and depth of gameplay that many people have been asking for, and it would be nice if it was there. And then they're talking about persistent NPCs here. And they talk about Tier 1, Tier 2. Tier 1 characters do exist. They would be the power play characters right now. And, sense of history to the galaxy, provide community or casual encounters to become longer running threads. Unfortunately, it doesn't, in its current implementation, do any of this. Tier 2 characters would be like the station managers that we now have pictures to go with, sometimes very hilarious pictures. But these are characters that we could interact with directly. Characters could be killed by players or by events. I guess Solemny would be an example of this. Character could be created by an event or in-game promoted from Tier 3. Character could be promoted from Tier 2. By being known to a large number of players, characters can have issue missions. This really doesn't exist within the game. It sort of kind of does on the menu screen, but not in a way that is intuitively obvious to a lot of people, I believe, at this point in time. And then they give examples: faction leaders, underlings to deal with, mission targets, mission providers, pilots of NPC vessels that the players previously interacted with, which we can't really interact with, and player contacts. Tier 3 characters, this is what we have right now. Tier 2 characters, I don't think really have ever been truly implemented. Sort of, kind of, through the progression system, dealing with people in stations, and so you rank up with the various sub-faction, minor factions. But Tier 3 characters is all we got. They're not persistent, can't be promoted to Tier 2, thus becoming persistent, randomly created according to the required archetype. That's all we've gotten thus far. Newsfeed characters, particularly Tier 1s, can be used as name, people, and news items. I guess that kind of works. Required data. Each persistent character has 2 sets of data: core information, character log. Core information, name, archetype, location. I guess we also have the engineers. I guess they would be Tier 1 characters as well. Character log, timestamp, character, player, event type, other parties. Again, I don't think that's been implemented anywhere really to that degree. But at any rate, about 16 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and let this video end here, and then we'll talk about death penalty rules in the next one. Until then, see you next time.